Hey, yo, it's Guido coming at you with a tactics talk, and I have been called out. I've been called out. So, oh man, I'm just kidding. This is Trades Badly, and he's formerly known as Marshall Matt in his Leopard PTA Tier 9 German medium tank here on whatever this place is called, Ensk. This is Ensk, right? I always have to check. It is Ensk. We've spotted and spawned into the south side of Ensk. It is a Tier 9 and 8 battle, 3 arty on each side, lots of mediums up top, and a lot of Tier 8 heavies down below. So I got called out. He sent me a message, sent me this replay, and I'll read it. It says, "You're fond of saying that there's a chance to win every battle. That's true. We'll talk about what I mean by that in a minute. On the one hand, I get it in the metaphysical, how many angels can dance on the head of a pin sense. On the other hand, it's BS. For even the best players in the real world, that's important, 20% of battles are unwinnable. I've heard 40%, 20%, 30%. I think rationally, reasonably, and just looking at the numbers in the real world, we can say it is probably somewhere around 30 to 40, just based on the best players are at about 65%. I'm talking best players with a large sample size. Sometimes you can get close to 70 driving the right tanks, the right platoons, all that stuff. But yeah, 30 to 40% reasonably are games that are going to be lost. Are they unwinnable? That's the argument, right? And when he says how many angels can dance on the head of a pin in the metaphysical, that's really where I come from when I say look at every game like you could win it. Look at every replay like if you had done something better, you could have won it. Does that translate to the real world, to somebody who's going to get to 100% if only they do what Guido says? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. But it is an important mindset, at least in my opinion, for if you're going to try to get better, to look at every single loss and game. What could I have done to make this a win? And even if you only are able to do one or two of those things, maybe that gets you some more hit points or closer to a win. You can look at a complete raffle stomp and go, there was about 50 things that had to go perfectly right for me to win, which the possibility of that is there. The probability is near zero, right? So it is a metaphysical kind of question. But I think if you don't come at the game with that mindset, it limits you a little bit, or a lot of it really, in my opinion, in your ability to improve. Because then it's easier to start using crutches and blame other things that are not you, even as those other things can absolutely contribute to the loss. All right. So I wanted to show this and talk about that, not because he's kidding, by the way. I mean, he's got the laughy icon and all that stuff, and it's a valid criticism, and I get it quite a bit. And I know there's a lot of you who don't believe that at all. But for me, in my career, what I've done, that is the only mindset you can go at it with, because when you're flying fighters, mistakes cause you to die. So everything needs to be debriefed to 100% as best as you can as a human, knowing that we're fallible. Because the consequences of the loss or the mistake are so high, right? This is a pixel tank game. There's no consequences like that. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm just saying I've taken that kind of mindset and applied it to a pixel tank game, again, with a large amount of salt thrown in, because not angry salt, but pinch of salt, because it is a pixel tank game. But that's just kind of where I'm coming from on that one right there. So it's not really a thing of, well, if you were just better, you would always win. That's not even close to what I'm talking about, and I think he knows that. But I liked it because it gives me a chance to talk about it and sort of articulate that idea of how to look at things in a silly pixel tank game, in an effort to have a mindset that is better at learning and taking responsibility of your own actions and trying to make them better. Trying to make them better without hopefully trying to act like it's so serious, because it is a video game online and it's fun as well. And sometimes, you know what? I've said it before. You take a chance, you do something silly, you make a different move just because you want to, and it's fun, and let's see what happens. Completely valid, right? But the corollary to that, or the other part of that, is when you do things like that, you have to be self-aware enough to go, yeah, that wasn't the greatest idea. Probably helped contribute to the loss. if I had it to do over again and I was really just plain old looking for the win, I think these are the steps I would have taken. And when you break it down that way, you learn something. You may still go try that silly thing. You may still try to go look at that silly thing, but hopefully along the way you've learned a couple things so that if you come to the same situation another day, you go, you know what, I'm actually going to go for the high percentage play. I've learned a bit about what that high percentage play is, and I think it's this. Let's try it. And then when it goes wrong, again, you analyze that and say, all right, well, what did I do wrong this time? Was it an error in execution, or was it an error in the move that I selected? Or was it an error in people around me, which then reacted poorly to what I was doing, and we lost? Okay, I mean, there's a lot to it. I'm just kind of throwing some things out into the air on that, which is why when you debrief and get to specifics, you have to have an example in front of you. Because we can just esoterically talk and throw words out like flex and react and use your essay and read the mini map and all these other things that are so easy to say. And if you don't actually try to tie an example to it, then you never can really be called out. Because I can always say, well, read your mini map. If you read your mini map and you react to the battle, then you're going to get better. Okay, dude, really? Well, so how exactly does that work? Well, that's what I try to do here. Take some examples. So you have to take a one-off example such as this game, debrief it, look at it, talk about it, and at the same time understand that it's a sample size of 1. Right? There's a lot of things going on right there. There are a lot of things going on right there. But I think if you're reasonable and you don't take everything to extremes, then you can end up learning something out of it, even if it's 1 or 2 things. Could be a lot of things. You know, if Trades Badly drove straight up this road and shot at the enemy, it would be pretty easy to tell him, well, I mean, I don't know what happened with the rest of the game, but if you drive straight at the enemy and die, then that's probably your first mistake, which is not what he does. Somebody does, though. Sort of. Sort of. All right, that is the preamble. What else did he say? Here's an example. I played okay, not awesome, not terrible, just average. All right, well, at least there's some admission there. And he says something interesting, or maybe slightly better, which it was actually slightly above average, I would say. But even if I'd done 10k damage, I don't think we'd have won this one. Actually, I do. If you'd have done 10k damage in the right place, if the first, let's get ridiculous, all right? Let's take it in the vein of the angels dancing on the head of the pin. If you had done 10,000 at the beginning of the game before anybody else did damage, I don't know how that would have happened, but we're being kind of theoretical here. Then I'm pretty sure your team would have won based on what they did with the rest of the game. You removed 10,000 hit points before anyone does anything. Let's say you spawned in 2 minutes before anyone else. It would have to be more probably based on your rate of fire. But what is the DPG in this? 3,000, so let's call it 3 minutes. We're just getting ridiculous on a scenario. You spawned in 3 minutes before everybody in the middle of the enemy, and you took down 10,000 and ran away with all your hit points. I think you probably would have won. All right, that's the ridiculous side. On the realistic side, I do actually think if in the early to mid phase you'd have done around 10,000, you might have actually turned this around and preserved enough of your team's hit points to win. Now, let's also look at your comment. I think you just kind of threw that number out just to say, look, I think even if I had played really well, we'd have lost. And I understand what you're going with, where you're going with that. If I'm wrong, tell me what I should have done. All right, that's an interesting thing. I get that a lot, actually. And, the replay is sent to me. I do a replay review, and a lot of times the player will go, tell me what I did wrong. And I'll say, all right, I'm going to give you some things I thought you did wrong, but I'm not necessarily going to tell you how you could have won this game. I'm going to give you my opinion of what would have swayed it and given you a chance to win it. But there's so much else going on in this game. I don't think Guido can necessarily just go, all right, do this, this, and this, and it would have been a 1. It would have been a 1. It would have been a win. That's not really what I'm doing here, right? We're trying to analyze the replay, see how you could have done better, and what are some of the things that may have turned this into a win. I think that's hugely important because that is then layered underneath the idea of if you execute perfectly, you win every match. That's the esoteric piece of it. We know in the real world that can't happen. Not can't. Doesn't. Right? That's important. Doesn't. Because the possibility of winning every match is there. The probability is close enough to 0 to make it look impossible. Does that make sense? I think it does if people really think about it. And for me, it's just a mindset to come at this thing. Maybe it's the rosier mindset than a lot of people want to have. But I also do understand that there are 14 other players on your team, and there are 15 players on the other team that all have a vote on how this thing goes down. And so does RNG. I haven't even mentioned that one yet. So I think all those things are important to look at this. So what we're going to do is we're going to look at Trades Badly from Clan Oho, or is it DHO? I can't read. It's Oho or DHO, who is anonymized, by the way. Anonymized. All right. And we'll look at some things that I think, and I'm going to give him one big thing that I think would potentially have changed this battle for him. One big thing. All right, so here we go. We're in Ensk. You can go to the field. You can go to the city. He's top tier. I like that he's going city. I do. He mentioned earlier, I don't know if you read it, that something about, hey, we have no tier or top tier heavies. That sucks. All right. I'm just going to throw this one out because if you look at it and immediately start typing, I guess this is sort of calling out Trades Badly, but it's meant in the nicest, friendliest way. If you get in there and look at it and go, well, crap, we're already down. We're down a heavy. We don't have a heavy up top. That sucks. And then you type it to your team. You've now kind of spread some negativity, right? Is it a huge thing? No. Again, it's a pixel tank game. We can have fun and type and do all those things. But if we're talking about perfect execution, I think I don't say that, right? And, that's part of the calling out thing. Let's just neck this thing down as much as we can. I'll throw as many little grenades out here as we can, and we'll just talk about it. You guys drop down in the comments and let me know right there, all right? So it's all meant for the entire community to kind of think about and get better. So here we go on our Leopard PTA. Going to the city. I like the move to the city. I do. So we come on in here, and we push in, and what we have going on behind us. Remember I said, what if he just drove in and started shooting people? How did a 54 lightweight... He's not taken a hit yet, by the way, folks. And in he goes. Absolutely stirring up the hornet's nest. He's got multiple guys chasing him. Of course, Trades Badly's team is all in the back. We got an IS-3, a Tiger 2, the Scorpion, okay, fair enough. The mediums haven't even really moved. Nobody really went out to the field except for a T-54, and there are a few heavies filtering up from the middle. So I think Trades Badly would agree with me that initially this deployment is not so good. All right, this is no bueno. It's not a very good deployment. However, the good news is, on Ensk, the power is all concentrated in one spot. It is hard to push into Ensk if guys are playing well, so let's see what happens. Trades Badly has gone to this middle road. I liked the move in the city. I did not like the move into the middle road, especially considering that they did have a top tier heavy, although it is more like a medium as a T10. And your team didn't really follow up. So I think the biggest thing for me that kind of limited your ability to react to this battle was overextending up into this road right here without any support. Now, that's a hard one because the counter to that is, well, I pushed in hoping they would come with me so we could get in here quickly and take these guys on. But I think a little bit early on this, a little bit aggressive. And what ends up happening, the reality of this is that you're now overextended in this match. So we kind of take a look. The lightweight just, I don't know. That cost Trades Badly's team a lot. It costs them a lot. All right, so now the next thing is let's take a look at how we play our tank in our local area. At least the M449 moved up, so we do have some support. The T-54 lightweights died. The 703-122 is also raging in and does some damage. So we come around this corner, we're kind of looking, and oh, boom, and holy cow. All right, this is why I don't particularly like coming in this early. You were probably thinking about getting a shot in the IS there, and I don't know if you're proxy lit. You may be, but there's always somebody sitting there. So you peek around, and you take a hit from an IS-6 that you probably shouldn't have taken. Remember, we're going to debrief this to 100% at each situation. So we're overextended. We're now down 376 hit points. We probably shouldn't have taken based on that poke, an unwise poke. I don't know how they're not killing the 703, but finally he goes down. The artillery goes down. You've lost 2 artillery. In fact, you've lost all 3 artillery. Looks like they got bombed and shot. And now the Progetto is in there. This was a nice shot. See that little spot right there? I've seen a couple people do that. I knew it was there. but it is very effective on a side-scraping IS-3. I thought that was absolutely fantastic. That was exactly where you needed to shoot that guy and what you needed to do right there. So now, think about this for just a moment. The field is pretty weak. The field is pretty weak. You may want to preserve your ability to get back there. The problem is you can't get out of this spot. You are basically stuck in this spot. You could go down this road behind you, but that is relying on somebody not being up there, right? And you don't know that yet. I would suspect somebody probably is. Although counting those, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 plus 3 already. 10, and there's 3 dead. So there's only 2 guys unaccounted for. Only 2 guys unaccounted for. Let's let this develop for a second and see what we do in our local area. Because all is not lost. This doesn't look bad, does it? I mean, we got some guys too far back. There's 1, 2, 3, way too many guys too far back. To be honest, there's 3 of you fighting forward. The rest of them are, I guess, waiting for this field push to come around the corner. But your guns are concentrated in one area. And on Ensk, that's not as bad as you might think. So the IS-3 is doing a little side scraping there. We're probably proxy lit because he keeps lit unless somebody back there is seeing him when he side scrapes. So we're not going to be able to push in with them not knowing we're coming at them. So IS-3 is just staring on that corner. I can see you kind of thinking about it right here. I would be interested in what you were thinking here, whether you were thinking about how you could get back or get out of this road right here without taking a hit or getting killed. Because that's what I would have been thinking right now. It's like, I do not have enough friends up here to do anything. Although now they're starting to filter at almost the exact wrong time because you have an issue going on back here behind you. So we're still trying to figure out how to take on this IS-3. I don't know if you're trying to bait a shot into your track or just waiting. These guys are side. Oh, there we go. Scorpion G. Maybe you noticed that. Scorpion G moves in. The IS-3 starts moving. But unfortunately, he was sort of waiting right there. We get away with it. You should have probably lost another 390 hit points right there. But you did see him start to move. His dispersion is going to get bigger. The Scorpion has him busy, and you're able to get that shot. You do another nice job right here of sneaking one in on that guy. And down he goes. What the Scorpion G, though, proved to you is there's nobody on that road. Now there's only 2 enemy in front of you. Let's count noses. 1, 2, 3, 4 in the middle. 5, 6, 7. 3 already. That's 10. 4 dead. That's 14. There's only 1 guy unaccounted for. Don't you suppose your team has this dicked right here? Don't you suppose your team has these guys dead? I think I'd have gone back there and helped these guys take this down. Or what you're going to do is swarm these 2 and then go back. Except for the part where you swarm these 2 and don't go back. So we come in here, absolutely jump on these guys. Did you have a shot on that guy? I don't know why you didn't shoot this dude right here. Just gobble them up as they come, right? Get here, make him fight 2 sides, help your guys right here, kill him off. But it looks like you're coming around to the IS-6. That's fine. Come around here, and holy cow, messing around, and holy... I don't know if that was an auto-aim or you just went after the upper plate. You get away with it 2 ways. There's another 390 hit points you should have not had. And you actually penned, and you're shooting regular APCR, so you got the hatch or just overmatched. Just penned his front hatch there, or his front armor. So we're messing around him with a minute, or messing around with him for a minute. Ooh, lower plate. All right, so that's shot selection. Now, okay, fantastic. This is not a bad situation. This is not a bad situation. You've won here in the city, but you still have an issue back here. These are the aggressive guys pushing in. These are the guys who want to sit and snipe in the middle. And what are we missing now? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 9 with the Arty. That's it. That's everyone they've got, right? Either lit or recently lit. And what happens is your team sort of scatters to the wind, but you're going to push into the cap. And other than kind of overextending and not preserving your ability to move around, which in the end didn't hurt you too much, this was the second worst decision, in my opinion, going back here and messing around towards their cap when your cap is still threatened. Ideally, everybody, hey, just student body right down to the south, student body right again over to the east, and takes out those guys down there. But we're sort of going to get really mixed up here. That was a bad decision because it ate the shot. You weren't going to go through that. And then I'm not sure why you don't lift up and shoot the guy with the accuracy there. So there's some time. And this game is a lot about time. This cost you a lot of time dicking around with this 55, 155, 55, which is time could have been spent working on the rest of their tanks. So, we're going to mess with this T-54. Nice shot right there. Right into his side, sneak back. Cross over. And all of a sudden, unfortunately, some of your near-deads died. Take a hit from the T-10. Your guys are in the middle, and now they're in a crossfire. I mean, they've just basically driven into a crossfire. So instead of concentrating and moving to one flank or the other, either everybody push through. Let me get the thing going there. Either everybody push through here and come around, or go back. And for my money, it's go back on this one. Because as you push around over towards the east, obviously all those guys that were in the middle are going to have all kinds of shots. They have good defensive positions down here. Come back, clear out your cap, then worry about the dudes from the enemy team that went back. And all of a sudden, your guys get in a crossfire. So instead of creating a crossfire of your own, the enemy team creates a pretty nice crossfire. This is a good shot right here. Oh no, it's coming up. This is one of those examples for everybody of, every shot not taken doesn't hit. He just crosses here and he says, okay, I see you. How about that? Nice. I don't know why those aren't destructible. Those little outbuildings just drive me crazy. I have run into those so many times. Now we're just waiting to die. Get a little bit more damage here. Okay, who do I shoot first? I'll shoot you first. Can we get one more? Can we get some ram damage? Is it going to happen? Oh my gosh, we just can't get there. So 3,398 damage. We end up with 2 kills. And what looked like a fairly even match for a while sort of collapsed quickly. This was a late game collapse. It was relatively even for a long time. But your kind of passive sit-back players, once they started to try to push forward, made really bad decisions on where to go. And I think your decision to go to the north was wrong as well. Once you cleaned up those 2 heavies in here, I'd have turned right back around and seen if you could help your guys down here on the cap, clean that up, and then come back at them as a united front. So, overextension hurt your ability to react to what was going on down in the south. Your team did win in there. You had a part to play in that. You cleaned up the heavies, nicely done, but I think you needed to go back. You keep pushing in. You spent a little extra time on the artillery that you probably didn't need to. That was extra time that could have been used elsewhere. Couple bad decisions on trading. Trades badly, so that's perfect. But got away with it, which is fine. We always have some RNG luck on there. The question is, what do we do with it? Does all of that add up to a win? I don't know. Does it add up to getting closer to a win? Absolutely. So that's kind of my point when we look at this. So thanks for the call out, man. It's a great conversation, and it's one that I really like to have because there are a lot of opinions about it. People come at it from different angles on how they look at it. I come at it from my career and what I did, very serious job, doing a very serious thing. And when we debriefed and looked at things, we tried to debrief to the 100% solution, right? If someone died in the flight, of course, this is in training, so simulated died in the flight, especially Blue Air, obviously. We broke that down to the nth degree as best we could. And we attempted to start from the beginning and figure out what the steps were that would get us to a win. Because it was usually a 4v4 or a 2v2 or something of that nature, there was a lot less variables, many fewer variables involved, although air-to-air combat is a very dynamic situation, so it was still difficult. There's a lot of things going on. But in World of Tanks, now port that over, there's 15 people flying around the map doing all kinds of mess. RNG thrown in there, lots of RNG. So it isn't really probable that I'm going to break a game down into the perfect solution, although I would not say it's impossible. And that's really just the bottom line basic idea of the mindset that I come at the debrief situation and the replays situation. There are probably multiple other opinions on things you could have done in here, and hopefully some of the people that are going to comment will go ahead and mention those down below. More ideas, and you may learn something. I may learn something. Hopefully we all learn something from the discourse and the the interaction with this, which is really the purpose of this whole channel, to try to help everyone play a silly pixel tank just a little bit better. So thanks for the shout out, man. I do appreciate it. Like I said, I really enjoy talking about this because it is something near and dear to my heart, not just for pixel tanks, but more or less everything I kind of do in my professional life, even now for what I'm doing with the simulator. So that's what I've got. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. I appreciate your support. It's been fantastic. Last year was a great year. I'm looking forward to a good new year. Down below in the description, got to do the shill for myself. Lots of ways to support the channel and the content. If you like what you saw, throw me a subscribe. That's all I've got, and we will see you.